Hello, my name is Derek Taylor. If you're watching this video, you are in my late starting HIST 152 World History course since 1500. Welcome. This is a little introduction video. You won't be, you'll be happy to know, you won't be watching any of my lectures for this course, but this is my introduction to the course. We're going to go over the parameters on Canvas, all the modules in the on the Canvas landing page for the course, as well as the requirements and everything else. So you only have 7 weeks, so let's get started. Let me get into this here, and we're going to start with the just show you the landing page. You get there, you should find this everything laid out for you. You'll see all this stuff. I'll go through it in a minute. What you'll have to do. But first, let's go to the syllabus, which you can find here. And we'll share that with you right now. Screen share. Oops, it went wrong. There we go. Okay, so World History 2, you have all the information up there. I am on campus 3 days a week. I have office hours from 10 to 11, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you need to get a hold of me. You have my contact information there. Usually by emails, we'll have contact students in these types of courses, so there you go. Overview of the course, as it indicates. This is a course about modern world history, the coverage of the great civilizations of the world from 1500 to the present. A survey course, if you don't know, is a very broad history course. This is what this will be. And particularly the development of the modern world. And we're going to focus on global patterns here, global patterns of change which affect various different parts of the globe. So, course objectives, when you are finished with this, you should be able to, among other things, prioritize, interpret, and synthesize historical materials and ideas, write and otherwise communicate clearly. There will be an essay in this course. Describe the major events and developments in the history of the modern world. It should be modern world from 1500, demonstrating an understanding of chronology and change over time. You'll know dates. 3, describe and discuss the principal characteristics of the societies under study, particularly those outside the Western world. One of the things we want you to get out of this is knowledge of Asian civilization, African civilization, stuff outside the West. And then 4th, this is the hardest thing probably, but grasp patterns across the globe that impact society studied in this course. You have 1 book to get, and you better get it quickly, as you'll see. Robert Strayer and Eric Nelson, Ways of the World, A Brief Global History with Sources, Volume 2, 4th edition. The ISBN is here. If you don't get the proper edition, if I have to go diving through page numbers for an essay or something like that, I'm going to take off points. So get the proper edition quickly. So grading, we'll go through this in a second. Essay, 30% of your grade. Weekly quizzes, as you'll see, be 1 every week, actually 2 every week, since your class has half the time, 25%. Discussion, 25%. We'll get to that in a moment. And then reading exercises, we'll also get to that, 20% of your grade. That's 100%. And then the grading scale, as usual, 190% in going down the line. Now, assignments, quizzes. There'll be weekly quizzes in this course on which you will demonstrate your knowledge of significant events, figures, terms, learn and decide readings. You will be able to use your textbook. This is to test you on the readings a little bit. There's no time limit for the quizzes, but you must complete them by the dates given in the course by the Friday of each week. And you get 1 shot at, I think maybe you get more than 1 limit, but there's no limit on this stuff, but you had to have it done by then. Secondly, you're going to have reading exercises, which will be, I'll show you the stuff in a moment, where you're going to answer some questions from the readings themselves. You'll take notes comparing different aspects of the civilizations you study, and answer in a few short sentences a question about the chapter. And again, this is not meant to be proper English, proper grammar. You're just writing notes basically and answering a question or 2. And then to get you into the habit of taking notes on what you read, if you make it through college, you'll do that. And then basically you'll be graded only on the completion of the assignment. Again, I'm not grading on how well you take notes. You're taking notes for your own purpose because you're going to use these notes, as you're going to see, to write an essay later on. They're also due on Fridays. So the readings and everything you're going to have done to get these done by Friday. Discussion. which you're required to make weekly posts and discussion fora concerning the assigned readings, basically a couple of chapters every week, in which you'll post a minimum of 3 questions over the readings. And if you have you'll have 2 fora. That means you'll have 2 separate sets of questions, basically. So if you have 2 chapters a week, it means you'll have to post 6 questions and respond to 2 of your fellow students for each discussion forum. And so you'll basically be, writing 6 questions and 4 answers to other questions by your fellow peers. There'll be specific instructions in the discussion forum. I'll go through that stuff. Again, these are due normally on Saturdays. So you have the readings done, be tested on it with the quiz, you have the reading exercise, and you do discussion for Saturday. And then finally, the essay, basically you write a short essay, approximately a minimum of 5 pages, connecting 3 periods of world history covered in the textbook. 3 periods are the early modern world, 1500, roughly 1800, revolutions of industrialization, and then the long 20th century. And again, specific instructions we'll go over in a second in the module on Canvas. So, class policies, makeup policies. There are no makeup examinations, and late work will not be accepted, save for documented emergencies of a grave illness or death in the immediate family. This is an online course. You don't have to drive. You shouldn't have those problems. Students who miss these will receive a 0. Vacations, work schedules, car, or computer trouble do not count as emergencies. Students who get in touch with the professor as soon as possible if these emergencies arise. Academic honesty policy. Students are expected to adhere to Johnson County Community College's academic policy for all honesty policy for all assignments in this course. Any violations of this policy may result in failure or even dismissal from the college. I expect that all exams and quizzes are your own work, completed without any assistance. Only group work would allow you to consult with fellow classmates. There won't be any in this class. For further information, refer to your student handbook. Instructor availability. I am most easily contacted by my email address. I check it daily, should respond within a few hours. You can also leave messages. I don't check my phones. So you can try, but it probably won't reach me that way, but you won't need to. There's also a chat function. If you want to meet privately, we can do that. Finally, if you need to meet me on campus sometime, I'm more than willing to meet outside the times of my office hours if you need that. Or during my office hours, it's fine. So my office is listed at the top of the syllabus. So that's the course in broad outline. Not too much, pretty simple what you're going to be doing. You have the schedule of assignments. You'll see this also on Canvas. Our first week, you have 2 chapters to read, chapters 12 and 13. This is reading exercises due on Friday the 26th, and then discussions due this Saturday, and so on and so forth. Basically 2 chapters a week till the last couple of weeks, because you only have 7 weeks, and there's only 12 chapters in the book. And you'll have, again, everything's due same day there. And then finally, lastly, your essay will be due the week after classes end. You won't be having a final in here. You'll be turning in the essay. So you'll have more time to work on that toward the end of the course anyway, to do this. Lastly, in terms of the syllabus, I reserve the right to make changes to this syllabus when circumstances make it necessary. They almost certainly will not. It almost never happens. It's just sort of a lifeline if somebody, if something goes awry and I need to sort of slightly alter things. I do this, but if I do make any modifications, I will let you know before I do that, but probably I don't have to worry about that. That in sum is the course. It's pretty simple. You're going to be reading, writing, discussing, and then writing me an essay. So let me show you where everything is at on Canvas. So you're looking at this. I guess a couple of things going through the modules, just to let you know this is available. I'm required to do this. I'm not required, but they asked me to, so I was going to do this. The Global Awareness Program at Johnson County Community College, more info about this. This is a program, I believe, where you earn, up here, which provides transcript notation for students who complete 3 globally focused courses that answers capstone questions, either have an international experience through JCCC or attend 8 globally focused events on campus, yada, yada, yada. This course counts toward this gap completion credit. So if you want some extra credit to that stuff, you can check that stuff out. There's also a flyer there with more information, which I will not bore you with, but it's available to you if you want that sort of thing. It's one of the neat things we kind of offer here at JUCO. So let's get into this in terms of the actual, you see the modules here, if you're picking this up. You'll start with the first chapter at 12, chapter 12, the civilizations of the 15th century. So the book will start you out, ways of the world in the 15th century, give you a lay of the land, and you'll see every module will be the same. You'll have the this is the basically where you'll turn in the assignment for the reading exercise for chapter 12. You'll need to upload it as I'll show you in a moment, as a Word file or a PDF file. We'll turn that in there. This is the not even the student view, but anyway, that's where that is. And in every module, you will have the exercise. There's one per chapter. This is exercise 12. You'll have exercise there. It should come up eventually. Yes. So you see, so thinking the main point, what predictions about the future might a global traveler in the 15th century have reasonably made? And again, as you go through the chapter, it has you fill out the chart below what prediction might have been for your traveler, what primary evidence you might have for that, and then cite further supporting evidence to support that assertion, that prediction. And so you do that, a few times here. And then at the end of this, you will answer a question. After you read the chapter, use your notes to compare. It says compose an essay. You don't need to compose a whole essay, but just compose a few sentences. Identify 2 false predictions and 1 true prediction that your traveler could reasonably have made about the future. Explain how the evidence might have affected your traveler's predictions, whether true or false. Again, you don't need to do that in depth, but again, it's a way to get you thinking about things in this and comparing, ideas, cultures across time and across space, geographically speaking. So that's how that will work. And we'll get back to this in a moment. I'll show you where. Yeah, and so like I said, basically every single one will be the same. And you'll have 2 chapters due this at end of this week. So you'll have 2 chapters. You'll have to do 2 of everything for this week. 2 of those assignments. You'll have to take a quiz, which is also due on Friday. 2 quizzes are due by the end of the week. Then you'll have to contribute to 2 separate discussions for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the course. And so as you'll see, you'll have the reading assignment to turn in with the exercise right there. That's what you'll use. You'll click on that, you'll fill it out, and upload it here. You'll take the quiz by Friday. That's the quiz. Click there, click on it. And then on by Saturday, you'll have to post 3 questions. As you'll see here, you read the chapter and post a minimum of 3 questions over the readings and respond to 2 of your fellow students' questions. So write 3 questions and then respond to 2 others by your fellow students. And at least one of these questions you post. One of them should be concerned primary sources. Now, in your Ways of the World textbook, and I don't have it to bring up here, but if you look at it at the end of every chapter, they're going to have primary source material in the chapters. Primary sources are sources that come from the time period that you're studying in the past. They're directly related to it, produced by people. You're studying 15th century China. You're studying their maritime exploits of the 15th century. You'll have evidence from that, and maybe not specifically from that in the text, but that's what a primary source is. A written document, an image, could be lots of things, but something produced in the time frame. They'll also have some excerpts of secondary sources. Secondary sources are modern histories. Modern historians, contemporary historians writing about these things from a distance, from several hundred years later, utilizing the sources from the past, because that's what historians do. They look at the stuff that's remaining from the past and they tell a story about it, give an interpretation of what happened. And so you're going to be focused mostly in this course on the primary sources, but at least one question should concern those primary sources. In your questions, make clear the number, a page number or item in the readings it refers to. Don't just throw out stuff that, don't make your fellow students or me, because I'm going to be grading this, I'll be responding to questions throughout the semester. Let us know where it's at. Just include the page number. That's all I got to do. And also, if you don't know the difference between the primary and secondary source, consult your textbook or just listen to what I just said. Last thing, failure to follow these directions will result in reduction of points awarded. Follow them closely. I'll take out points for everything you don't do, basically. And it's basically, I think, 12 points, no, excuse me, 10 points per discussion forum. Again, everything you don't do, you lose points for it. Pretty simple in that regard. And those instructions are in every single forum in this course. This one, so you have Empires and Counters, the second chapter you'll do this week. Same deal. You'll have the posting here. You'll have the forum, and you'll have the same directions. It'll be the same more or less every week, basically. So that's what's involved in doing that stuff. So you, in other words, have these chapters are about 30 pages, 30 pages or so a piece. I don't think any of them will be longer than 50 pages, but you're going to have between 60 to 100 pages of reading the first month or so of this course because it's so condensed. So get ready to read and do some work because that's what you're going to be doing. And that's basically it for most of the course, basically, for these 7 weeks. I didn't give you too many other things to do other than that. Last thing you'll be turning in will be the essay. So let's go over that, look at that real quickly. At the end of this course, you're going to write an essay comparing 2 nations or countries from different civilizations: Asia, Africa, Western, the Americas, Western Europe. One of these 2 that you compare must be outside of Western Europe and North America. They must be different civilizations. They must be outside of that. But you need to have 2 different countries from 2 different civilizations in any case when you do this. For your essay, you're going to compare how each of these countries changed throughout the 3 eras covered in your book. And you have the dates. This is in the textbook by section. The first section is the early modern world, 1450 to 1750. That's the change from this is kind of Western thinking, but from the medieval era into the early part of the modern world, as historians define it. The second chapter is revolutions of industrialization. So that's about the Industrial Revolution as it sweeps over Europe and then other parts of the world, Asia, and then finally Latin America, Africa, and places like that. And then finally, the long 20th century, which again is 1900 to the present, 2 world wars onward, basically. And the goal is to get you to express your understanding of what global patterns affected these regions, these countries, I should say, and in what ways they affected them. And that's it. Basically, that's supposed to be your thesis. I will also evaluate on how you craft your thesis and defend it with primary source evidence. So what you're going to say is the textbook will talk about all the global patterns. There's a bunch of them that affect all the areas of the globe. You pick out the ones you think, ones you think are the most important, and that's your thesis. And what you're going to, at least as far as these 2 countries go, because not all these patterns, of course, affected these countries equally. Format, you should have a thesis clearly stated in the introduction to the paper. In the introduction, it should have a format of introduction, body, conclusion. Introduction, you introduce your thesis. You point toward where you're going in the rest of the essay, intro things. It can be fairly short. Your introduction doesn't have to be long, and get into things. And the body, you go through the various points you have to make, supporting them with evidence. Then you wrap this up by restating the thesis at the end, recovering, going over your evidence for it and why you think your evidence supports it at the end in the conclusion. It must be written in Times New Roman 12-point font, double-spaced. Include your name and date at the top of the paper. I don't care where. Left right corner is not a big deal. Now, crucially, this should be a minimum of 5 pages in length. It should take about at least 5 pages. And you should cite from at least 4 of those primary sources in the Ways of the World textbook. Remember, at the end of every chapter, you're going to have primary source documents and stuff like that. So you need to cite at least 4 of these, at least 1 from each section of the book. So we have these 3 sections up here: early modern world, revolutions of industrialization, long 20th century. I expect you to cite from at least 1 source in each section. And you should be able to do that with the stuff that you've, depends on what's in there and what countries you choose, but you should be able to do this. Now, when you cite a source, sometimes students do this. They'll cite it, they'll put a big quotation, like 5 sentences long, and then they'll move on to the next paragraph. You need to make an effort when you cite a source to explain why the primary source you are citing is important. Why is this an important source for someone to know about? and then how that source fits into the main argument of your essay. That is to say, you can't just plop down quotations without any explanation. Explain why it's important, why it supports your argument. Again, it doesn't mean you have to write another whole paragraph about why it supports it. Just a few sentences as, okay, this is why it's important. This is, identifying historically speaking why it's important, and why it fits your argument. That's basically it. And then for no bibliography, you don't need a bibliography page. You're citing the textbook. So all you'll have to do is cite by page number in parentheses. You can just put Strayer and the page number right there, as I've cited there. Pretty easy. And these are the evaluation criteria for the essay. Following directions, having the proper format, that gets you 20 points. Demonstrating your knowledge of the readings. Do you have a basic knowledge of the history contained in the SI readings? That's the biggest thing, 35 points. Comprehension, this is a little more complicated. Does the paper demonstrate an accurate understanding of the primary sources it cites and their relevance for their thesis? Do you not only know what you're talking about, can you use what you know or have learned to actually analyze something historically? A little more complicated. Does it show understanding of how countries fit into global patterns of global history? That's part of your assignment, right? How these two countries have been affected by these global patterns that the textbook talks about. Finally, composition. Is the paper written clearly? Does it have a precise claim, a thesis in the essay? Is it proofread properly? Now, I'm not going to take off large points if you have a typo here and there. Some of you, again, I know you're busy, you're doing things at the last minute, but your papers are really bad. They're very poorly written, some of my students' essays. And I'm not trying to be mean. It makes you look bad. You go into a job, you turn in something like that, it makes you think, your boss will think you are stupid. Bluntly honest. Don't ever do that. Don't ever give someone that, because I know you're not. I don't know you. You're just seeing me through my bald head on the screen, but you're not. You're just not taking the time. Just read over it really carefully before you turn it in. Don't make yourself look bad. It's not worth it. So please do that. Free from major typographical errors, not minor ones. And that is it for the essay, which is the biggest component in the course grade-wise. Front here, I guess we're almost, there isn't anything else to show you here. I think that is basically it. And this course will take you up from, we'll cover most of the globe. It's pretty good, the text, in terms of coverage, in terms of covering Asia and Africa and Latin America. You'll get some of those. It's not too, textbooks today are trying to be less and less Eurocentric, which is good. So hopefully you get something out of this. And again, have any questions, email me. Derek Taylor, your professor. So I'll try to respond as quickly as I can. Get the book, get started as soon as possible if you want to pass this course. Maybe you thought this would be a little easier if you took a shorter course. It's not. You still require the same amount of work from you. And you have, again, half the time to do it. So get started as soon as you can, get to reading, and good luck to you guys. I hope you guys have a good semester, or at least half semester, and get something out of this. And I hope I'll be hearing from you. You won't see me again in this course, unfortunately, but I hope you guys have a good semester. Take care.